There's a place on Earth where time seems to move in reverse. A place where the clocks don't just tick, they hesitate. Where the sunset lingers too long, and yesterday never truly ends. Locals call it an island untouched by the present. Scientists call it a mystery that defies logic. And travelers, they call it the island where time runs backward. It sounds like a myth, but this story is very real, rooted in science, geography, and a touch of the supernatural. To understand why this island seems frozen in another era, we need to start with where it is in one of the most remote corners of our planet, far away from modern civilization. Hidden deep within the Pacific Ocean, there lies an island that barely appears on most maps. It's part of a region that straddles one of the strangest human inventions of all time, the International Date Line. This invisible boundary cuts across the Pacific, separating one calendar day from the next. Step east of it, and you move into yesterday. Step west, and you leap into tomorrow. But on certain islands that sit near this line, something extraordinary happens. Time doesn't just move forward, it bends. One such place is Tavuni, an island in Fiji often nicknamed the island where time begins. But technically, half of it lies in today, while the other half lies in yesterday. If you stand in one spot, it's Monday. Take a few steps east, and it's Sunday again. For locals, it's just another day in paradise. For visitors, it's a paradox made real. But this story goes beyond Tavuni. There are smaller, lesser-known islands along the date line where this time-bending effect becomes even more surreal. Because of shifting global politics, cartographic errors, and the constantly adjusted path of the International Date Line, some islands exist in an eternal limbo between two worlds. On these islands, midnight never truly arrives, and the date can actually reverse, depending on where you stand. This peculiar distortion of time is a man-made phenomenon, born out of an attempt to organize the world. In the late 19th century, when nations standardized time zones, the International Date Line was drawn through the middle of the Pacific Ocean, roughly following the 180th meridian. But because islands and nations refuse to be split apart by time, the line zigzags wildly, bending around countries and territories. The result? Places that defy temporal logic. Imagine waking up on an island where you can walk a few steps and celebrate New Year's Eve twice, or watching the sunrise of tomorrow while your friend, just across the water, is still stuck in yesterday. On these islands, the very concept of time becomes fluid, almost meaningless. But there's something deeper about these places, something that feels ancient. For centuries before time zones and date lines existed, the indigenous people of the Pacific already lived by their own rhythms, guided by the sun, the tides, and the stars. Time wasn't measured by clocks, but by nature. It wasn't a linear force, but a cycle of birth, growth, death, and renewal. To them, the idea of time running backward wasn't strange. It was simply the way the universe worked. And perhaps that's why these islands feel so mysterious. Modern travelers arrive expecting to outsmart time, but instead, they find themselves stepping into a world that never needed it. A place where the modern illusion of progress, of always moving forward, doesn't exist. As one local guide on Tavuni once said, here, time doesn't pass. It circles back. The air feels thicker. The sunsets seem slower. And for a brief moment, you begin to understand maybe it's not that time is running backward, but that everywhere else it's rushing ahead. For centuries, the world has been obsessed with controlling time. We've divided it into hours, measured it in seconds, and synchronized our lives to the ticking of a clock. But on this island, time laughs at human order. It bends, folds, and sometimes even disappears. Scientists say it's all about geography, but those who've been there tell a different story. According to local folklore, there was once a storm so violent it split the heavens open. Lightning struck the ocean, and for a moment, night became day. The elders say that after that storm, the island was never the same. Travelers began to notice strange patterns watches that stopped working, compasses spinning aimlessly, and nights that felt longer than they should. It's easy to dismiss such tales as myth until you realize that time anomalies are very real in this part of the world. The international date line, constantly redrawn over the years, doesn't just affect calendars, it affects human perception. If you live near it, your mind must constantly adjust between days, between what is and what was. You can literally experience two different dates within a few steps. In Kiribati, a group of islands once straddled both sides of the date line. This meant that half the nation celebrated the new year a full 24 hours before the other half. To fix this temporal confusion, the government decided to move the line eastward, giving all of Kiribati the same time. But in doing so, they created one of the most unique realities on Earth. Islands where yesterday was erased and the future began early. That's what makes the Pacific such a fascinating puzzle. Here, time is not a straight line, it's an ocean current. It flows, loops, and sometimes collides. Scientists studying these areas describe them as chronological frontiers, places where the man-made structure of time breaks down, revealing how fragile it really is. And maybe that's why so many legends surround these islands. Some say that sailors who once drifted near them vanished, caught in loops of fog where dawn never arrived. Others claim that travelers returned days later, though only minutes had passed for them. The myths may sound fantastical, but they speak to something deeply human, our fear of losing control over time. But beyond myth and science, there's a quieter, more poetic truth. These islands remind us of a world before time zones, before calendars, before deadlines and alarms. They reveal the absurdity of our obsession with measuring every passing second. Because when you stand on that invisible line, 1 foot in tomorrow, 1 in yesterday, you realize that time isn't something you move through. It's something you create. To the locals, the island's time trick isn't strange, it's sacred. It teaches patience, presence, and humility. They say the island S rhythm is slow for a reason, to remind people that not everything has to move forward to have meaning. Sometimes life's beauty is found in stillness in moments that refuse to pass. Visitors often describe a strange calm here, as if their bodies adjust to a slower heartbeat. Phones lose signal. Watches seem irrelevant. For a brief, precious moment, modern travelers experience what our ancestors once knew, that time is an illusion, and that the Earth doesn't revolve around human clocks. So maybe the island where time runs backward isn't a glitch in reality at all. Maybe it's a window, a reminder of what we've lost in our race against time. As the waves crash against its shores and the sun dips below both yesterday and tomorrow, the island whispers a secret that few ever hear. Time doesn't move backward or forward. It just moves with you if you let it. And perhaps that's the real mystery, not an island that breaks time, but a world that forgot how to live outside of it.